do the short ad. I had to read this at home.
Mm-hmm. Attention golfers, ready to elevate your game? Head to the Golf Zone in New Plymouth, your one-stop shop for all things golf. From top-tier clubs to expert advice, they've got everything you need to swing with confidence. Visit them at 44 Molesworth Street or online at golfzone.co.nz. The Golf Zone, Taranaki's leading golf retailer.
Had a lot of time on my hands when I shot there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode I can't remember of Fairway Talks podcast. Today's guest is an artist, a speaker, a coach, and a mental health advocate, which aligns with Louis' values and my values. We're all into that sort of thing. He is well known for his quirky Kiwiana style artwork. He has founded Well I Am and created the Mental WAF, a set of 45 rules for life. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome Paul Rangiwahia. Did I get that right?
You did.
Yes. To the podcast. Paul, thank you so much for coming on at such short notice, I'm sure.
It's good to be here.
I really appreciate it. But in your own words, who are you and what do you do?
I'm certainly an artist and creative soul. That's really a big part of who I am. And it's great that now, you know, for me as an adult, you know, I've been an adult for a long time, but I feel like I've kind of grown up a lot. It's a great place to be. I feel that I'm really fulfilling my potential because I've really just tapped into what I've always known, you know, is in me, that creative ability, and I ignored it for a long time. So just to see the fruits of connecting to that has been really great, and I think that's really enhanced me as a dad. You know, I've got a couple of kids, and as a husband, and as just generally as a human being. It's interesting how, you know, adversity often shapes, you know, who you are or a direction that you take. So, you know, for me, it was in about 2014, I created a mental warrior and a fitness, you know, which you alluded to at the start, which is 45 rules for life. And I created that for myself because at that point in time, I was really lost and at a real low ebb, you know. I was kind of going through that really confronting stage that, you know, arrives sometimes in our life where I had to look in the mirror and, you know, have some hard questioning of myself. And so out of that process, it was, well, not a process, but out of that time, I think I've really found who I am. And so back to your original question, it's like a creative person who really wants to help people. As a dad, you know, it horrifies me to think that there is more and more young people in our communities that wake up and feel anxious and depressed. And having the ability to influence that in a small way is surely enough motivation to get out of bed and use that, you know, talent, that creativity to help others. Yeah, with my artwork, I realised when I'd created it that it resonated really well with people. It was that very non-judgmental way of connecting with someone. And I think a big challenge for so many people out there is you often think there's something wrong with you, but generally, you know, it's something's happening to you in your life, you know.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
Lots of things happen to us all. And so really the art's been great. It's helped me to normalise conversations and you know, make mental health in my sort of vision, you know, a little bit more simple and a little bit easier to connect with. Doesn't tell you what you should do. You can arrive at that place, you know, in your own time.
Yeah, and it's and I mean we share with both fathers. Our oldest, you know, it's like, hey, it's actually okay to ask for help.
Yeah,
you know. She's female, even harder for her. My partner, she always says, you know, I'd hate to be a teenager in this life.
Oh, it'd be so tough.
You know, I couldn't do it. I mean,
You would do it. It would be different. But, the thing is that you have that point of reference. You know what it's like for them, and you also know what it's like for you. And your view of it is a lot better in your experience, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And so it's very hard to see yourself, and the challenges that they have.
Yeah.
But I think it's inspiring to know that they're aware of that too.
Yeah.
They know that they're on the digital crack cocaine. We just don't call it that.
Yeah.
But we're all challenged with that, and challenged with a ever changing, very quickly changing world. I guess people at different stages of their lives, had things like nuclear war, as a threat. We've got AI now. To me, you can obviously get excited about it and have that real belief in tomorrow. Or as a young person, you could think, well, what's the point?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know anything about that. I just think is a big thing that's out there now. Around that is a lot of stuff that's unknown, and that is a big challenge for anyone finding their way into the world in terms of how do I add value.
Yeah. And I think that's, saying there, how do I add value? I think that's what we all want to do. Yeah. We just want to be seen and be valued and matter, showing that we matter.
Yeah, we actually make a difference. And it's not everyone can talk into a microphone or can swing a golf club really well or, can do whatever. But we can all do certain things, really, really, really well. And it's so important for us as human beings that we have that sense of purpose.
Yeah.
And I do question with the way things are set up is that, to me, that seems to be a less and less of a thing. It's like, this mediocrity, just enough attitude is okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, hey, how did that turn up? It's like, what's that about? We need to fix that, surely.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if you think about golf, you're always striving to be the best that you possibly can. Most players are, I think. And you can spend hours upon hours trying to fix something that may not even exist.
Yes.
And it can get you down. What I've learned with golf, especially in relation to my mental well-being, shall we say, and the decisions I make on the course. I talked about this with Louis last week. Throwing clubs, it's not actually that attractive. It's actually quite off-putting.
And because I have that issue and challenge with myself. I'm cruisy psycho.
Yeah.
Cruisy. And I tell myself now, I was like, hey, what if someone is videoing you, having a little meltdown, throwing your clubs? How would you enjoy watching that or showing that to your kids?
Exactly.
You wouldn't.
No, not at all. And man, golf teaches you. I think it's taught me to be a little more measured. And I remember, and you raised a really good point just then, is I remember talking with a gentleman, I should get him on. Anyway, he runs a self-defense company here in town. They all over New Zealand and across Australia they do work. Fantastic. And he said to me, if ever you're wondering, what would people think of me? He goes, continue to think that when you're dealing with your children or whatever, just envision that someone's got a camera on you all the time. Guarantee you'll change the way you behave. But man, that's actually quite right.
And, if you think about that, that's a good practical tip that anyone could take and plug in. Because I really notice where the biggest successes are is where people are just chipping away so that they're making small improvements. That might be a big improvement for someone, but, they just plug that in and work on that, and that improves. And it's like, wow, I've had enough success. Man, I feel good. I might plug something else in.
Yeah, 1% every day.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
And not even that, because I think sometimes we can think, oh, God, I haven't done my percent today. It's compounding my need to do more.
Yeah.
I'm just doing something regular, that word, often. Yeah, it's really important.
I mean, it can start at just if your sole thing, you want to complete one thing every day. And I say this to my partner. She's got ADHD and she struggles to complete things and all that kind of thing.
Sounds like it's a big club, the ADHD club.
It's getting bigger. It's getting bigger. She fortunately is diagnosed.
No, and I don't doubt that at all. And I don't taking anyone from anything, but I think it's such a prevalent thing.
Yes,
and
but
there's probably a reason why. If we delve deeper, I don't know.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I agree. It certainly wasn't as obvious when I was a kid. That's for sure. You never picked up on it. Like two of the girls are from her previous marriage. The two girls from her previous marriage. The oldest one, she's got ADHD. She's on the glass half empty.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge in and of itself. The middle child, she has the glass half full ADHD, and she's wonderful to be around because everything's amazing. And she's got so many complications. It's not funny with her health and so forth. But yet her glass is always half full. She's never down. I'm going to say never actually. There's been the odd time in that where she's, because she's celiac, so she can't eat gluten and all that. And we're we're going to go have KFC, and it's like the devil for her. But she's still, everything's a positive side of life. And you always look at her and go, what can I learn from that? Which is fantastic. But Jess, she struggles to complete things. And I said to her one day, if that's a struggle for you, why don't you just concentrate on doing one thing complete a day? And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, just make the bed. The first thing you do when you get up after you've gone toilet and brushed your teeth is make the bed. You've completed something. Right there, you set yourself up for success.
Yeah, and you often hear people talk about that starting well, and putting a full stop on something, and invariably you get that momentum. That worked well, I'll go and just do one more thing. That's all I have to do all day, but you might end up doing 3 or 4 or 5 things.
Absolutely.
And often it's really trying to just train yourself, because I look at the world we live in. For everyone, it's just like a massive big gym. You've got the ability to go exercise and take on challenges and train yourself mentally. And so sometimes we got to do some heavy lifting, and it's hard yakka. But that heavy lifting's easier if we've built a pattern where we can just do little things well, and we have that little bit of success, and we can build that confidence. So it's definitely achievable. I think sometimes we make change harder than what it needs to be.
Yeah.
And I think what you said is that if you can just bring it right back and just start on that small thing and do that, then you're going to create a positive step to that next thing as well. I reckon. I
agree. One little thing for me that I decided to start the day off right, partially a health benefit supposedly. And not
a can of Monster, is it?
Absolutely not. No, I'm a 1 coffee a day before 10 a.m.
Yeah, okay.
That's it. I try to avoid energy drinks where I can, unless I'm feeling particularly knackered by the arvo. And to be fair, it's probably because I've eaten something I shouldn't have during that day.
Yeah.
But for me, it's brushing my teeth before doing anything else in the morning. 2 reasons. One, if I have a drink of water, whatever bacteria has been sitting in my mouth all night is going straight down my gut. Mm-hmm. Not ideal. And I actually, in fact, if anything, I think that's it. But I also like the feeling of nice clean teeth in the morning. Right. And there's a guy, Brian Johnson, whose whole soul thing in life is don't die. He basically he is a walking science project. And that was one of the things he said. First thing you do when you get up in the morning, admittedly, I go to the bathroom. While I'm in there, I turn around, wash my hands, I'll brush my teeth. Get that done. Then I take all my medications I need to survive the day and so forth. And then I'm good to start the day. Man, it feels good. It's small, but it's a habit that I've wanted to create.
Yeah, routine's a massive part of our lives, isn't it? It's nice to have a break from the routine, but I think many of us do our best work when we've sort of got that in place.
Absolutely.
I know that I do.
Yeah, and our oldest, she's like that. If there's any sort of deviation from the routine, look out.
Yeah.
Look out.
Yeah, which is a work on, I think, for those people that are so structured.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, hey, you just got to take a moment. This is just a small little, inconvenience. It's nothing.
Yeah.
Because if you're too rigid, you miss out on stuff as well, eh? And that's the case of life, isn't it? Is trying to get that rhythm and that balance that for the majority of the time is really, really good and productive and fun to do.
Absolutely. No, I absolutely agree. And for us as parents, trying to, say to the oldest child, hey, it's actually okay for there to be something different happening. It's all right. It's okay, but it's really hard. She's particularly difficult. Not that this is what this is about, but she's
But I think listening to a podcast, you talk about your own children or situations, relationships. Everyone has those. They have either relationships or children or situations where you totally understand how it works, and it's not often always easy, is it? But we're all trying to, I guess, fit in together as best we can. And I think if you're more aware of each other's challenges and strong points, you can kind of, if you're feeling present and calm and you're aware, you can definitely help, I think.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of thinking, oh, well, maybe I'm not the best person to tell them this, but if I get them involved with this, or, encourage them to try that thing that they've been avoiding, but being a parent is a big gig, isn't it?
Mm. No, and there's no book for it either.
No.
I mean, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of books out there.
I know. I'm sure you didn't read any.
No, I was never given a manual. We've got a couple of that. I like to listen to books, which is probably why I love doing this, because I love listening to things. I have background in sound and so forth as well, touring the country and with varying artists and stuff like that. And, sound, and I've always loved it. But I love listening to books. And so she'd bought a couple of books about parenting and stuff like that. And I think I found one book recently, I don't know, you may have come across it, was Mel Robbins' book. It wasn't a parenting book, but it's the Let Them theory. I think that's fantastic.
What's the premise also?
So the Let Them theory is more about you being in control of what you can control. So, for example, if we're in the prime example right now, we're in a golf shop recording this episode right now, and we've got a bit of talking in the background. You can hear it. We've got somebody hitting down there in the golf simulator and so on and so forth. Now, I could get really upset about that and go, I want silence because I need it, because I want this to be, the best of the best. There's also a fan going in the background. You may not hear it. You will now.
Yeah.
But
thanks.
Sorry about that. But the let them theory is let them. You can't control it. You have absolutely no control over that. So let them.
Yeah.
And then let me, this is the premise of it, let me do what I can do to control it. And for me, it's focusing on you and our conversation and not worrying about those outside noises in that sense. But obviously you can apply that to any part of your life. One of the interesting things that I learned from this book, I think it was in this book, but I learned recently anyway, was that when a person's growing up, for example, especially a person who is neurodiverse, which in all due respect we all are to a degree, but if you look at a Karen, if you will, they're having a meltdown and you're like, okay, there's nothing I can do about this. I'll just let them have their meltdown. In my head, I'm letting me be calm by going, that is just a 5-year-old having a tantrum because they have not been taught how to actually
regulate.
That's right, their emotions and so forth. And so it's really that, coming back to that parenting thing, we've got a 13-year-old who's quite, can be quite dysregulated with her emotions, and it's really hard to let her just go because she can get quite wound up. But it's just got to let them. And I've got to look at her and without trying not to laugh, because I'm doing it now. When she's having a meltdown, I'm just like, you're 13 years old, you're tall as hell, you're going to be a little bombshell when you leave home and all that kind of stuff. We're going to be fighting the boys away, but you're just a 3-year-old having a tantrum.
I know.
And I'm trying not to laugh at her. And she, occasionally she's like, what are you laughing at me? I'm sorry, dude. You'd never understand.
and the Karens, like I watch some Karen behaviour and I look at that and I go, it's a great example how I don't want to be.
Yeah.
There's always great examples. You can look at that. I don't want to act like that because that looks terrible.
Yeah.
So it's good. You don't let it hit, you let them do their thing. It's like, I'm not going to change that person in that moment. They've been doing that forever. But now I understand how I react to it.
Yeah. And the more, the let them theory is fantastic because, man, it's quite freeing.
Yeah, I think you develop those real key phrases or reference points that help drive some real positive stuff, like just that let them, having that, when you're in those situations, you just remind yourself of that and the rest is easy to handle after that generally.
Absolutely. And if it's not, let them.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Yeah.
Let me do some box breathing or whatever it might be that I need to do. Take that minute, lower my heart rate down. Let me think about what is it that's actually aggravating me right now? Because 9 times out of 10 it's something you're thinking about. It's nothing to do with them. And, I say this a lot to our oldest child, she'll be going, oh, but so-and-so will think I'm doing this and da-da-da. And I was like, you think that, but actually they're not.
No.
The sooner you, and again, it's really hard to try and, I haven't figured out yet how to fully say, hey, what you think people are thinking about you, they aren't. They're thinking the exact same thing you are.
Yeah.
And everybody's just thinking that.
Yeah.
And you can't control that, so just don't. Just control what you can control.
Yeah, I talk to a lot of groups of people, and I like using visual things so people can really see it in a broader context. And you imagine if everyone turned on a screen above their head that we could all look at each other's screens.
Yeah.
And you'd look over there and you go, oh God, I didn't realise that you thought the same as me. You waste all that time, thinking, assuming that thing that's not true.
Yeah.
Oh, phew, I'm not the only one, or oh God, that's stink for you as well.
Yeah.
And so I like that. I always imagine, when people are not themselves or they're absent-minded, there's always something going on the screen.
100%.
Whether it's historical, is the the trauma that hasn't been dealt with, it's just followed you through life, or whether it's that thing currently that's just it's a stone in your shoe. It takes time, doesn't it? Because I think as a younger person, you're trying to find your place in the world. You see where you fit.
Absolutely.
So you're going through a lot of analysis, of where that is landing. And as we work out over time, it's like, well, you never really land anywhere. You just get more comfortable with,
Absolutely.
you and the journey.
What do they say? Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Essentially, And I like the visual idea of what's going on someone's screen, because you're right. I quite often, as a really clear example, I remember I was driving out to Awakura one day and there was this person behind me in a little black Honda 4-door Accord right up my ass. And I was like, oh, it's a bit unusual. Now, normally that would frustrate me. And I thought, I could get angry about this and I'm driving and they're behind me, or I've got a passing lane coming up here. I'll just continue at my speed and I'll see what happens. Highly likely they've got something going on that they need to get to that's quite important. I wonder if it's a medical emergency of some sort. So passing lane comes up, they hoof past me as I
let them.
Predicted, and let them, And I continued driving along. They got stuck behind some other traffic. That was fine. Well, guess where they stopped when I drove through Awakura? The medical place. And I thought, now, I could have got wound up and angry about that person tailgating me and brake checked them and done all that kind of stuff that old me, sometimes current me, sometimes might do too, although I haven't done that in a long time, but hey, I'm human. I could have got upset and wound up about that, but instead I thought, man, I hope whatever they're going through, they get sorted.
And that's a massive shift, I think, because it's that, what I'm hearing from you is that it's that choice that you make. In the past, you chose to go, hey, man, and you give them the fingers and you brake check them or whatever. Yeah. You'd be aggressive. And so you made that choice. But to make that choice where it's like, oh, actually, they've potentially got something going on, Yeah. And we'll see if that's the case. And it's cool, when you make that different choice.
Absolutely.
You feel so much better too, don't you?
Yeah, you do. I did after that, because I didn't think about it again until, every now and then I might think about it, but not in like a negative way. It's like, that time worked, Don't get me wrong. Slow drivers still piss me off.
Oh, and all that. Oh, same. I hate being people just driving that close to you and all that stuff, and totally the same. I had a really nice experience where I was in a line in a store, and there was the dude at the front. His card was failing.
Yeah.
It was getting declined. And, it was uncomfortable. And the line was relatively, there's probably 6 or 7 people, 8 people on the line. It was a decent size to feel that energy shift,
Yes.
And he'd try and the person serving them, English was a second language. It was just an awkward situation. Yeah. And I was like, I don't think he's got much stuff. It's not cost much. I went up there and I said, hey, mate, can I pay for that? Because the other day the same thing happened to me, you know, and not to say that he wouldn't feel stink. Yeah. And so I paid, it was like $3.50.
Yeah.
And he felt great. He said, oh, thank you. And then he left. Everyone else in the line, you could just sense the relief, you know, around. And it was just, I made that choice to do it. And it was just a nice outcome. I didn't do it to say, hey, look at me. I did it because I could just sense the energy and I had the ability to change it.
Yeah. And sometimes I think that's the greatest gift that we have, is being able to sense that and be able to go, actually, I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where I can sort you out, completely paying it forward, no strings attached. And those 6 other people behind you, like you say, absolute relief. Yeah. Oh, thank goodness. This guy's off, this guy's cool.
And you know, and that line, I bet you in that line, someone else went and did something little to some,
Yeah.
Or it elevated that, oh, that was cool, that was nice,
Yeah.
As happens in those group sort of situations. It's very infectious, that energy, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And I think, I'm not going to say I'm necessarily a spiritual person or anything like that, but people pick up on energy, kids in particular. Now, I learned something really interesting from a secondary school teacher a month or so back. And she was saying, so she deals a lot with sort of 13 to 16-year-olds, I think she said. And she said, it's really, all girls as well. But she said, in particular, it's funny when a student comes up to you, so Sally comes up to you and says, oh, Miss so-and-so, she doesn't like me. She really hates me. She's got it in for me. She doesn't like me. Oh, how do you know that, Sally? Oh, well, I can just tell by looking at her face. Oh, interesting. So she went and had a quiet conversation with this teacher. And what the child had picked up on, and children in general do this, is they can't distinguish between a tired person and a grumpy person. And so Sally thought Miss T, shall we say, hated her, but she never did. She never said anything or did anything to say that. It was just she was tired, and kids can't pick up on that. And when she told me that, I went, oh, wow, old is this going to Spotswood this year? I'm going to remind her of that when she has a teacher that she perceives that doesn't like her. So instead of being argumentative and that, because she is very much argumentative, instead of being that, why don't you say, Miss, are you tired? Is there something I could help with? And just see what response you get. That's like paying that $3, but in a very different way.
I think that there's just challenging in those moments. Challenging them to look at a different choice is really it, because you don't even expect them to do it. It's just the fact that there is another way to frame that up. Because something could happen, in a situation, 2 people see the same thing and 2 people interpret it totally differently. Yeah. Glass half full, the glass half empty.
Yeah.
So we are the story we tell ourselves, and so it's nice when in that instance as a parent, like my parenting skills are, I'm really good or really terrible.
Yeah.
And I freely admit that. It's sometimes a curse being a wellbeing advocate, because your kids are always reminding you of your indiscretions or your inability to follow through in your own words.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought, but it really, it's back as those those choices are so important, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it's nice when people challenge you to look at things slightly differently.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. And I think it's okay to remind someone, hey, remember that time? Yeah, I remember. That's the one. Take a breath. It's okay. And I think, like Mike King says, it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
And I think that's
it's very human.
Yeah.
It's very human to not be your best. It's very normal to ask for help. I don't know why we've over the course of time found it harder and harder and harder.
I don't know either. Is it? I think social media has a lot to answer for in today's society. When I was a 10-year-old, cell phones were just becoming sort of mainstream in New Zealand. We didn't have them as such, and there was no such thing as text bullying or anything like that. It was full on character building at school. That was bullying. It's not now. It's psychological warfare, and it's horrid.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's we as parents, and I had this conversation with Daz. We won't let our 13-year-old have a cell phone.
Well, I think that if you can avoid it for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Because really, I guess a big chunk of a generation or two have really just been a social experiment.
Yeah.
And it's turned out that it wasn't that good.
Yeah.
Hey?
It's it is. One of the big changes that Daz made at Waitara was that all phones are removed from class. He did explain it, and I can't remember exactly, but I think they're in a box or something.
Yeah.
They at the end of the day or the end of class or whatever it is. But he said, blessing and a curse all in one. And I said, oh, how so? He said, well, there's a lot more noise at school now because it was quiet. So there's a lot more noise and there's things happening, and there's, people are getting on and not getting on and what have you. And he said every now and then the noise gets a bit much for me, but he said, I've just got to remind myself why we've done it.
Yeah.
And he said, you know what, that sound is actually so beautiful. Kids enjoying themselves doing things. And I think the kids have even gone and said, hey, this is awesome.
Yeah, and I reckon if you sort of trace things back in relatively recent times, we've certainly gone away from the tribal system as well, where we moved together as a tribe, and as a community. Communities have changed a lot. There used to be a lot more country schools, and there was the pubs, and
yes,
there was the general stores, and there were churches and places to meet.
Yeah.
And because you worked together and you looked after each other and celebrated and, set standards and all those type of things, you were more plugged into what was going on. Yeah. I just find that since we've gone away from the tribal system and more sort of individually focused, the outcomes have been horrendous, really, and epidemic in many ways.
Yeah.
Think of loneliness. It's crazy to think that loneliness will kill more people than smoking,
Yeah.
Those sort of things.
Yeah, it's horrid to think that.
And, to imagine someone, just stuck in their home and not really leaving their bedroom, just being paralysed, stuck in there in an online, world and connection. And it just doesn't seem, very healthy.
No.
That's for sure.
No, it's not, and I worry specific our kids and that, the tablet kids, the TV was the babysitter when I grew up, so it wasn't. I mean, I was outside kicking balls around, but it was...
Go watch some TV.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, it's a rainy day, what are you going to do? Go watch some TV. Whereas, I think even as I was a kid, it's raining, I'll put the TV on, but I'm playing with Lego. Yeah. I'm building stuff. I'm creating.
Well, you couldn't dial up, could you? So, if you had to watch, I don't know, some sort of church program that was the only thing on.
That was it.
That was it.
That was it. You were stuck.
Or you can have it in the background or do something else.
Yeah, exactly. But that was, but that was the 90s, and I think, it's all well and good to say to your kids, oh, when I grow up, they don't care. They don't give a shit, when you grow up, great.
Yeah, hey, wow, that's amazing. Thanks. You're really inspiring me.
Yeah.
I was involved in the boot camps when the government came in. They did some work with some young offenders, young people, and I was involved with that. And it was funny going into the prison and talking to the boys about, all the things that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
And just them mocking me, saying, "Oh, Paul, you're really moving me. You're touching me." Just taking the piss out of me, touching me deep inside. And we're like, "You little bastards," telling them that and having that that laugh, it was very fascinating. Fascinating.
Tell me more about that. Like what? So what was that like?
It was. I guess it was the problem when you look at a pilot program like that is that it's easy to control the outcomes when someone's locked up.
Yeah.
It's like, hey man, you made your bed, you're looking sharp, you're marching up and down, or you're doing these things, and you're not fighting each other, but we're kind of like controlling all that.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of it's like a false reality.
Yeah.
So the challenge is that how do you give all these really cool ideas and learnings to anyone, and in this instance it was the young people who were charged with some pretty serious offending. Was to give them those things, but then to think that you could change decades of criminal activity within families, or high dependency on government for welfare and all those different stories, and none of them are ever an excuse. But if you're Tim Nackey putting your chips on, which things you're betting on, you're probably not going to put all your chips on that particular young person who's going back into that environment. It's tough because it's it takes a village to raise someone, and of course you have successes, but those things, they take time for that, those changes to embed. Yeah. So I think you're on a hiding to nothing, being involved in those type of programs. In a way, and I don't mind saying this, but I think sometimes any government, whoever the coalition is at that time, there's an element of sales and marketing.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's no real great intention to change it, because changing actually the things that you're talking about is too big and too hard and too expensive. Yeah. So for me it was good, because I needed to. I'm very fortunate to be asked to do a lot of things, be involved in different projects and things. But it's always the learnings that I take, and I guess the big learning for me is that we can't rely on governments to make things all right. Yeah. We can work together and get them to help us as communities, but really as communities we need to look after ourselves, and we need to set the standards ourselves and do what's required to create healthy environments where our kids are thriving and people feel like they're adding value. Yeah. I think we're kind of lucky here in Taranaki. The way I look at the future, I think, well, why don't we try to be the centre of wellness globally? Imagine if that was what we strive to be. It would be a pretty cool place to live and for people to visit. Yeah. If we elevated the importance of being mentally fit and well, and we live that and we practice that in a lot of what we do, and that was our goal to if you're measuring metrics, to tick the right ones around happiness and fulfillment and all this sort of sense of worth. And
what is your sense of worth?
From a personal perspective, I feel very worthy when I'm doing what I love on a regular basis. I think success now at 53 is waking up, and there's not many moments in the day that I'm not loving what I'm doing. Yeah, cool. I kind of feel like I've just hit the jackpot, and my work becomes my life, and my life becomes my work, and I don't feel that any of those are hard or onerous, and it's just a real, just a lovely sense of rhythm and energy, and that movement is getting quicker, but it's not getting harder. So it's a lovely place to be. So I feel very, very have a strong sense of worth.
Yeah, it's really good because a lot of people do struggle with that, and it's okay, but it comes back to that. I guess it comes back to that, having someone in your life who's you can openly talk to and be honest with. And we talk about loneliness before killing more people than cigarettes. I think we get stuck in our own heads a lot as humans, and how do we get that message out there? Who knows? But it might just be helping one person to get through that, but then they learn those skills, and then they help one person to get through that, and so forth, and that snowballs, man.
Oh, it does.
Real quick.
You think of any organisation or school or business, if the focus is on, well, how do we make this a really super healthy environment? How do we create this space where, you come in, you deal with things that are going on in a positive, proactive way, and you feel safe to do that. And, it's very authentic. It's not, we're not judging, but we've worked out as adults or as a group that this is our healthy way of doing it, and it becomes very natural. And I think the more that we can lift those examples up, it shows other people what that looks like. I think we're really grappling with it at the moment because there's so many other pressures, from other areas.
Yeah.
In society, it's like it's tougher for people seem to work harder, but they don't seem to get further ahead. All those challenges that are out there. My daughter just started working at Pack and Save, and she loves it. But just seeing people who live on the harder edge of life.
Yep.
It's
it's hard.
It's a lot of people. It's like, oh, can you just stop now? Because that was my limit at that point.
Yeah.
I can't pay for those other things, even though I need them.
Yeah.
I can't get them.
And that's hard. Now on that, so my job primarily real estate photography. So I've seen the opulent side of life, the middle class side of life, and I've seen the real bottom feeder.
Yeah.
And in between, because there is an in between the bottom feeder. I hate to say that term, but you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And if anything, there's one really important thing that I've learned from that. It doesn't actually matter where you fit into that category. Happiness is the same, means the same to everybody. But I was at a property recently, young family, very young, early 20s young, newborn baby, and they're paying, and this shocked me, $570 a week rent, okay? They're in their 20s, early 20s, with a newborn baby. One of them couldn't work and the other one was working. Every fortnight, over $1,100 just to put a roof over their head. Like, that...
Was this not right, is it?
I couldn't believe it.
It's not right. But it's not that long ago that someone could go and do a decent day's work and then go and to the butchers and buy a steak and have that for dinner.
Yeah.
And now that would never happen.
No.
You couldn't afford to do that.
Absolutely not. I worked in the butchery after school. I saw those people come in and they'd buy that steak for their dinner. Or they'd like some nice home-killed sausages. We did all that. I'd see all that. Now, that butchery's shut. They couldn't afford to stay open. Supermarkets have taken over. Obviously, completely different side of things. But you, again, when more than 2/3 of your income is going on just to put a roof over your head, you've still got power, food. Unfortunately, we all need to be connected, so you've got internet, television.
And all of those things are tracking upward.
Then,
in terms of
exactly.
affordability, especially electricity.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got my power bill today. Wasn't it great?
I know. You want to get out a tissue at the same time.
Yeah.
You look at countries that thrive around the world, electricity is cheap. You've got to have cheap electricity if you want to be productive.
Yeah.
Because you price everyone out of the market. And it feels like the Hunger Games ain't far around the corner.
No.
Because the reality of living is hard. And it's like, well, I'm over it.
Yeah.
And if the more people get over it, it's and people go, oh, no, that wouldn't happen. And but it does, when desperate people do more, when you're on the edge of life and things are hard and you're constantly under pressure, it's easier to make worse decisions.
Absolutely.
If you're lush and things are going really well and you've got the ability to create space and time through money or whatever mechanism it is, you don't make those as many bad choices because you've got those luxuries. And so people are very quick to say, they always make bad decisions. If you lived in that situation, that constant, paying $1,100 a week, the house has got mold in it.
Yeah.
The bathroom extractor's broken. It's full of crap. There's no heating. The list goes on. It's not easy.
No, it's not. And you wonder why people crack.
Totally.
And in all fairness, you can understand it. Now, this particular couple, they were the loveliest people. And I just looked at them and I'm like, man, they're just, at least at the moment when I saw them, they're high on life.
Yeah, cool.
They're loving it. They've got this gorgeous little baby who's as happy as, and they're just having, the greatest time. It's a solid home that they're in. It's costing them a lot of money, but they're making it work. But again, it's that, I've seen the other side of it where families they won't go and buy cow's milk because it's too expensive, but they'll buy 2.5 litre Coke.
Yeah.
And they'll have bottles and bottles of that around the house, and it's like, that is why you're very unhealthy. That's not a great choice.
It's crazy, isn't it, that morals and commerce, are often quite a long way away from each other.
Yeah.
And I do really struggle with that, and I see a lack of common sense on how we approach so many things. There's this. Why would you, or stop doing something? If you look at the environment as a classic example, it's like, well, you need coal to do that particular role. You won't dig up your own coal, but you'll take someone else's coal.
Yeah.
We're still doing damage here. Yeah. We're doing more damage doing that, but you feel better because it's not in your patch. To me, that doesn't. I'm not an environmentalist. I'm just common sense would think that it might be better to do it that way.
I agree. The math doesn't math.
Yeah.
It's like, but we'll just offset everything to someone else's country.
Well, that's just like,
and that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Gross.
That's like Enron accounting. It's sort of, you just make it up to suit, don't you?
Yeah.
But it's still the same.
Yeah.
I watched an interesting guy. He was talking about, the commentator was saying, I can't remember his name, but the essence of it was that, net zero, is it net zero emissions? Is that how you just...
Something like that, yeah.
People know what I'm talking about.
No.
But you can't have net zero emissions in a productive, manufacturing part of your economy. So you think, okay, well, if we make electricity expensive, we shut that down and, we have less of that mess, someone else is going to pick that manufacturing up.
Absolutely.
And instead of making their country go bankrupt, they're going to just carry on doing that. No worries, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And they're not going to cut that particular thing. So I find it fascinating, and I don't have the answers, and I don't pretend to, but it's interesting seeing a lack of common sense out there.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. You'd rather all your people be poor and struggle because they can't afford anything, so you feel good about yourself. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't wash, eh?
No.
It's in my humble opinion, it's not right.
And people often in the White Tower want to change this particular trajectory around environmental damage, and they want people to do it, but the majority of the world are poor.
Yeah.
You don't care. If I was poor, I'm like, I just want something to eat.
Yeah.
I couldn't give stuff you chop that thing down.
Yeah.
I just want to get some food on the table for my kids. I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
So, you're telling me that to do that. Well, you don't even listen, do you? So it's interesting, this little small group of, of these different ideas that we have. And I know the environment is a very easy one to pick onto, but I think there's a lot of that ideology that's sometimes, just weird to watch.
Yeah, it is. It is weird to watch. You did right. And it's almost a little bit comedic as well.
Yeah.
At times, you know.
Many comedians make a great living out of taking the mickey out of
absolutely
political and geopolitics and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, to quote a line, what a time to be alive.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, what would be in the media if it wasn't for Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, your conspiracy theorists, they'll have their ideas. They'll pop out and say, oh, well, actually, while these guys are over here, you know, it's like a good magician, you know. While everyone's watching the left hand, the right hand's actually over here making all the calls and no one even notices. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I love it. I love the theatre that is around it. But I always come back to the same point is, you know, it's just bad behaviour, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, being called out, and it's the sort of that grotesque behaviour that comes on the back of being untouchable. Yeah.
And that's what, dare I say, but that's what money does to people.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Like, you know, often people who've had lots of money say, hey, look, money doesn't make you happy, but you'd rather cry into your Mercedes than into a, you know, Daihatsu Charade.
100%. And have you ever seen an unhappy person riding a jet ski?
No.
Neither. Neither. But at the same time, you know, you can liken it to you know, seeing how people that have deep pockets live and how people with you know, who have nothing, you know, they measure happiness probably in the same way, whether that be good health, healthy kids, all that kind of stuff. 9 times out of 10, we all agree, healthy kids, healthy family is, you know, a good start for happiness and so forth. But, you know, somebody with deep pockets can take for granted what a person with no money.
I think, you know, having that anonymity is a pretty cool thing to be able to go do stuff, you know, in your own time.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable in your own space, often there's nothing to do, nothing better than, there's nothing better to do than to go to your happy place and, you know, be in your own space. Whether it's, you know, you're fly fishing or, you know, walking on the beach.
What's your happy place?
Definitely the park. I live next to Pukakuta Park.
Beautiful.
And spend a lot of time walking in there.
Yeah.
And where I live is there's a river. I, you know, pass by that every day. I, you know, love the beach. But nature is really, really important to me. A lot of my work, you know, is done trying to figure out, how would I communicate that particular idea to that particular person or group, or what would I like to, you know, influence, and how I would do that. And, you know, most of my good thinking time is walking. So I love walking. Yeah. Yeah. And just tie that in with the dog and nature and stuff. And, yeah, I feel very happy there. Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really cool. There is something magical about it. Now, you know, when I said the other day I try and get out into nature 3 to 4 times a week.
Yeah.
Might be more like 3 times a week. But last night, for example, what an evening we had. And I was fortunate enough to be out in nature, chasing a little white ball with a couple of me mates.
Oh, nice.
And, like, I played, didn't matter how I played. I didn't care how I was going to play as long as I made contact with the ball. I was with me mates and we're having we're having a laugh and a joke. And that was, to me, that was just wonderful. But we were, the quiet times, you know, whether that be waiting for Aaron to hit a ball or something like that, and just everything just stops for that one moment while he's sorting his life out and about to duff his shot. We're just listening to the cicadas in the trees going, mate, this is summer. This is what we've been missing. Yep. And I love that. And, you know, I just sat there quietly while waiting for Aaron to hit an absolutely great shot. Just listening to the cicadas, and as soon as he'd hit a shot, I was like, boys, what a night to be out. Like, this is incredible. Like, come on. Yeah, Surrawong, you're playing shit golf, but, mate, we're having a great time.
Oh, we're very blessed here in Taranaki and New Zealand, aren't we?
Yes.
You know, there's a lot that you can look at and focus on what's wrong, but, you know, I look at my life and I think, man, I live a pretty blessed life.
100%. 100%.
To have access to nature and, you know, good mates and, all those, and you know, sport. How cool to be able to, you know, drive where we do and play the golf courses that we can. And it's incredible.
Have you done the Taranaki Trio?
What's the Taranaki Trio?
Surf, skate and snowboard.
No. I'm not really an adventurer.
Neither. So I've never done it either.
Yeah. The cricket is my...
Interesting. Yeah.
Love the cricket.
Yeah. Play, watch, or both?
I used to play, growing up, and I enjoyed that, and then coach the kids, and then now watching them play, and I just enjoy it. It's nice. It's you find out a lot about yourself playing sport, and there's a lot of parallels and things that you can draw from. So I love that aspect of it.
Yeah.
And cricket's, it's one of those games. It's a brutal sport. Golf, obviously, you can have the next shot, but in cricket, if you're a batsman and you get out, you don't get that luxury.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
To stay positive for your teammates who are doing well around you.
Yeah.
Come out and contribute in the field in some way. It draws on you as a person.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And team sports are golf obviously quite an individual sport at the forefront, but in actual fact, golf is just as much of a team sport as it is any other sport. And I say that because more for your professionals and so forth, they are, how do you say, there's a team behind them helping them.
Yes.
There's your managers, there's your coaches, there's your caddies, there's all of those people, Obviously, the end of the day, that dude is the one hitting the ball, and that's that. However, team sports, Louis loves team sports, man. He loves the camaraderie and all that. He's rubbish at football, his words, not mine. I've not seen him play, but he loves it. He absolutely loves it. And he has this dream, shall we say, where he'd love to have an academy dedicated to just helping young people in general, pursue whatever sport they're at and doing that. And he feels that, when he left Francis Douglas, all of those boys, he misses his friends for one, but when he left, he's sort of thought, I don't know anyone specifically, but where people have been great at their sport through school, and then as soon as they've left school and had to get into the real world, they haven't been able to continue that pursuit.
Oh, and the drop-off's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's like,
sports.
Exactly, and he's like, I want to figure out how to stop that. I'm like, man, that's pretty admirable.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, because I think when you're in that bubble of school, it's easy to help support your kids and create those really cool environments. But it's a massive challenge out of that. Yeah, our son's just went to Otago University today, and so it's like transitioning into that new environment. So, as parents, you encourage them. Hey, look, it's important that you get. You carry it on the winter training, and if that's what you want. And I think that's the tricky thing is you can really get someone involved in something, but ultimately it has to be intrinsically motivated. The next step.
Yeah.
So you can. So here are the contacts for Otago cricket. So this person, you get in touch with them. They'll help you do this. You can do that for them. But if they do it for themselves, it's so much more powerful because 100%. They want to do it, and they'll make it happen because they've initiated that.
Absolutely.
So I think if you, that's really, really critical. So for those people that don't have that, I guess, luxury where someone's encouraged them or helped them to, to look into the future. What does it look like for me? How am I going to set up the next phase? Yeah, what Louis suggests, I think, is really, really important.
Yeah, I think so. And I want to see him succeed in that. I don't think he knows how to do it, but that doesn't matter. It's an idea that he's got at the moment, and he's making little steps towards it currently, which is actually quite exciting. In that he's now entered the PGA program in New Zealand, golf program. So he's going to learn to do that. He wants to start Louis Golf Academy. I think he's going to call it something else.
Yeah, probably.
Because Louis Golf Academy is a bit gay.
I would have to agree on that.
Yeah. No, I think he's what did he call it? Was it the Bulldog Golf Academy?
I'm sure full swing's taken, probably.
But yeah. Yeah, I'd say so. You never know, though.
No.
You never know. But he wants to start that, and I'm like, dude, there's nothing stopping you doing that. Like, you you've got this idea, and I saw this thing today, you know, and you might have even said it yourself, but it just picturing what it is that you want is actually sometimes enough to actually just start that.
Yeah, you sort of got to go into the future and then think, oh, this is how I see it being, and then come back and make that first step.
Yeah.
To get to that, I need to probably do this first.
Yeah.
And I think it's just that starting, isn't it? You make that first step forward. Like when I got into the wellbeing space, I wouldn't have a clue what to do. You know, when I spoke, you know, to anyone who would listen, and you know, tried to sell my works in different places, and you're just trying lots of things, and out of that, other things happen. Yeah, because you're doing stuff, someone helps you. You discover a good way that connects. And I think for Louis, for anyone, it's just that holding on to something that feels good. Yeah, that, you know, envisioning what that might look like, and then just starting. Yeah.
Absolutely. And talking about just starting, I'm starting to cook a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an ad break here.
Nice.
I'm going to open the door and turn the fan on.
Yeah, we can just...
so that we can...
I'm a big sweater. I remember the first time I did like any stuff on telly.
Yeah.
Doing the show, and I could hear them in the back. They go, "Hey, we got a sweater." We got a sweater. Raining. Hey.
I tell you what, you're not today.
That's good.
You're absolutely not today. And normally I don't feel the heat. I sit here and I'm like, no, I can handle this. But it's a little bit humid. It's a little bit humid. So I'm going to do that right now, and I'm going to put on the long ad. So that gives me approximately 90 seconds or 60. I can't remember. But anyway.
Or even non-golfers ready to take your game to the next level? Swing by the Golf Zone in New Plymouth, Taranaki's ultimate one-stop golf shop. Located at 44 Molesworth Street in the heart of the CBD, the Golf Zone has everything you need to hit the fairways with confidence. From top-tier clubs by Callaway and even Titleist, and cutting-edge GPS devices by Garmin and Bushnell. They also have stylish men's and women's golf apparel that blends comfort and performance. They literally have got it all. Plus, their expert team offers personalised advice and custom fitting to ensure your gear is dialed in just for you, not to mention the layer of repair. If your club has had an argument with a tree recently, the shaft's a little bent, they have got you covered. Whether you're chasing a lower handicap or just loving the game, visit the Golf Zone in-store or online at golfzone.co.nz. The Golf Zone, Taranaki's leading golf retailer.
And the editing, you enjoy that as well? Or not so much?
Do you know what? I actually have discovered in my job that I don't particularly love sitting at a computer editing.
Oh, yeah.
I like sitting here doing the conversing. However, in the age of AI and tools that we have access to, I take that clip there from that camera, audio's feeding into it, so there's good quality audio. I don't have to sync anything up or anything like that. And then I will run it through, I'll do a quick top and tail, so I'll get rid of the crap at the start, and if there's any crap at the end, I'll get rid of that, or if there's anything in the middle that needs to be cut out, I will. And then I'll export that as a clip, or 3 clips actually, and then I upload it into an AI, and that pulls all the clips out of it. And then, and it's AI is fascinating. It's not perfect. It definitely gets better and better as it goes on. But all of the little clips that you see pop up that have been created, all AI. I don't do it. Otherwise, you spend, you know, we might say, so we've been going for an hour and 4 minutes so far. You know, that hour and 4 minutes is 3 hours of cutting to get clips and do all this and listen to it and then get all the clips and stuff. I don't particularly like doing that.
No.
Now, that's okay. I've given myself permission to now go, actually, I don't like that, but I can let someone else do it. And I used to have to do everything. And now I just, actually, I don't have to. It doesn't matter. I'm allowed to let go of that control, if you will. So I love seeing the finished product, and I'm happy with that. I even have weddings. I love shooting a wedding camera. And I remember at the end of last year, I was like, I'll do a wedding for someone. I'll do it for love, you know, because I just feel like doing something really creative. So I shot it, and I got to the end of it, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I saved it and did everything I needed to do with it. And I thought, I'll come back to that and I'll edit that. And then I waited. I couldn't get back to it. And then I thought, hang on a minute. I know somebody who actually creates really awesome edits. I'll send it to him and get him to do it for me. And then when it comes back, it'll be amazing. And that's what I did. And I got the result that I expected, if not a little bit better, because he saw things that I didn't see. And so I think that's, for me, has been quite powerful. With real estate, yes, I'll edit that myself all day long, because it takes the time it would take me to explain to someone how and what I want. I could have done it. So I'll do that video myself. But when it comes to like a wedding edit or something like that, if they just want a simple, quick cut of the ceremony, I'll do that myself. No worries. But if it's like, I want a creative this, that, and the other, I'd rather pay someone and give them an opportunity than
torture yourself and not enjoy it.
No, and then I don't deliver something that I'm truly happy with.
Yeah.
You know, whereas if someone else does it, and that's why there's teams of people. It's like a team sport. You know, that's why we have team sports. That's why cricket's a team sport, because a man can't bowl and bat and wicket keep and all that all at the same time. That's why there's, you know, what is there, 7 players on a pitch? It doesn't matter, you know. It's, and it's the same with us, you know, like Louis does, there's things that Louis does really well. There's things that I don't do really well, so I get him to do that, you know, like posting every day on Instagram. He does that. I don't want to do that. I'll be terrible at it. Well, not terrible, but no, I am. I'm terrible at it. My own business, I barely post, you know. And it's like when my partner, she's going into business and doing things, and she's got all these little things going on. And I said, you know, that's really good. I said, but what you need to do is you need to figure out what your strengths are and what your business partner's strengths are. And if they align and they're the same, don't do it, because you need to complement each other. One needs to be good at one thing and one needs to be good at something else. Otherwise, the partnership won't work.
Yeah. You all want to do the nice things and the things you don't like.
Yeah.
No one will make it done.
And it's not helpful.
No.
It's not helpful. It's not helpful to do that. And I think the older I get myself, the more I've realised that as well, you know. I like to make things easy. You know, one of my old colleagues, actually, he's a neat dude. You've possibly come across him in your around town. But he says, give a lazy man a hard task and he'll find the easiest way to do it. It's like, actually, and we'd set this podcast up. We used to have, so you can see all the black marks on the thing. That's where the tripods would be set up. So we'd have 3 cameras all set up. I think we had 4 actually at one point. Yeah, we did. We had a wide angle and then a couple of tights on everyone. And, you know, again, 3-hour episode or 2-hour episode or what have you, and then you'd sit there and you'd cut it individually. And you'd have to go through afterwards and do that. And I was like, okay, great, there's another 3 hours. So every hour and a half episode is now 3 hours worth of work. And then I've got to go and do that. And then I might have to cut something out and da-da-da. And it was like, this is not fun.
It's a chore.
Yeah, it's not fun. I can't do this. And so we lost momentum. We didn't do anything for a bit. And then I was laying there and I was like, I love talking to people. I love hearing people's stories. You know, what can I do to make this work for me? And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking of Graham going, give a lazy man a hard job, find the easiest way to do it. And then I thought, you know what? I could put one camera up there, shoot in the highest possible resolution, and then if I could put it into some form of an AI app, believe it or not, they exist now, it could do the cutting and all that for me for the clips. And then Louis doesn't have to go through and do that, and it's done. And then I can just shoot it and do a little bit of work afterwards, and then it's done.
It's just quick.
Yeah,
easy.
It's just quick and it's easy. And then we can roll them out weekly. You know, we're 2 or 3 weeks in advance for the most part, you know, in terms of what we've shot in sort of episodes. And it does work.
Yeah.
You know,
it's right. It's so good when you get some in the, in the bank, you know, when you bank up, you know, and you feel like, you know, someone's just chasing you the whole way along. And it's nice. You know? But I think with people, you know, because so much of the media is now shot in the, you know, the style that we're doing it, and it's getting easier and cheaper, and AI is coming on board. It's so good. So good. And you should, you know, it's like, that's exactly what you want to do, isn't it? You know, in terms of bringing technology, isn't that? If you can do more of the stuff you enjoy, the tech helps with, you know, the stuff that's hard, perfect match.
Absolutely. And that, in all fairness, that is basically the very definition of technology.
Yeah.
Is it's designed to, make things easier. Everyone's scared of, actually, for example, where AI probably hasn't been great, a guy that I know quite well, he's actually got quite an interesting YouTube channel at the moment too, where he's reviewing pies around the country.
Wow.
Actually, quite a delicious series. But he's a cartoonist by trade, and all he does, that was his thing, is draw. And I look at some of his work and I just think, what's going on in your head, man? That's incredible.
Yeah, amazing, eh?
Oh, it is fascinating. But as soon as AI could draw, his work was gone instantly. He was essentially forced to retire. It's such a wasted talent. And when AI was getting big, even with my industry, with real estate photography and stuff like that, mate, you cannot beat a person going in there who knows what angle to take a picture of. You can have your agent go in there with a cell phone, take some pictures, and then upload them to some AI, and they spit out garbage, and you call it acceptable. No. You cannot beat a person going in there. That's why there are professionals in certain industries.
Yeah, and I hope the work that I do, that people are still going to want notebooks and journals and art on the wall, and and it'd be interesting because I've trademarked my works and the style, and it'd be interesting to test that. People will be testing that now, but in terms of AI and how that trademarking, works and stuff. But I mean, I still feel there's a very big opportunity for tangible things that are that people enjoy looking at and connecting with.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm always staring at mindset there, that I always look at that and I just think that's, an interesting moment in Tiger's life.
Yeah.
And so forth, and that was why we put that up there. Obviously there's room to add more, which we will do over time, and so forth. But, the AI slop thing it's going to be...
It seems like a lot of, things flow, like a lot of money has flown into that area of, AI's massive amount of money in that space. And whenever that happens, generally there's some sort of correction, something bursts. So... Yeah. It's going to be fascinating the next little while, see what happens in that space.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. I'm again, to quote me earlier, what a time to be alive. I think it's, when I was a kid, there was never going to be a battery-powered car because batteries can't do that. And a car driving itself? No. Yet those are two things in my lifetime that are happening. And I mean, for one, I drive an electric car. I don't drive it because it's electric or anything like that. I'm not here to save the environment or anything like that at all. It's just I drive it because it's fun to drive. It's a nice car. We bought it because it was safe, because we've got young kids. We wanted the safest possible car we could get our hands on. That was the one.
Cool.
So we went for it, A lot of people judge on, you drive an electric car, you're doing worse for the planet than my petrol car. Really? Do you know why I bought that? No. Then don't judge me.
Yeah. So true, eh?
Yeah.
So true.
I always chuckle at people that do that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them out there and so forth. But hey, it is what it is. But I want to talk a little bit about Well I Am. What is that?
Yeah, Well, I started Well I Am a couple of years ago, and really the goal was to be able to try and provide wellbeing solutions at scale is what I would really like to do. So, starting that company was all about that. So that's what I'm doing is trying to figure out, okay, well, how can I best help people? And one is to get more of my works in front of others. Yeah. And then and behind that, provide supporting information that can help people really get the most out of the art and hopefully have an enduring impact. Because, you realise your mental health, everyone's got it. It's either really good or it's not very good at all. You're in a bad place, but we've all got it. So it's really really important. Now, I'm certainly not going to fix everyone's mental health.
No.
But I've found my way, an interesting way to be able to make a small difference. And I think the more people doing that, collectively, I think it adds up to an opportunity for significant change over time.
Absolutely.
So I find that interesting. I originally thought, I'd be quite entrepreneurial, but because entrepreneurial really just means that you're a salesman, really.
Yes, 100%, yeah.
Because you can have a great idea, but unless you can sell it, hey, you're just an ideas person.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say I'm an entrepreneur. I'm certainly trying to help solve challenges in a creative way, So it's just, it's quite fun. Now being on that journey, so I'm lucky. I've got some really good people around me that are, helping with that.
That's awesome.
And you start to grow and evolve. So it'll be exciting one day when someone in the UK or Australia or Canada or wherever the country be is, picked up my journal and they're writing in it. Or they're going to the toilet and they're looking at a piece of my art, or reading, a book or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of like at that stage of my life where it's like, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Why can't I achieve that goal? And, I don't ever really talk about leaving a legacy, but I just think, from my own self-worth, about how cool would it be, in 10 years that millions and millions of people globally have connected with my work, and that piece of work that started at that little moment, that moment in time created that thing that's now this, I was like, man, that would be cool.
100%.
And I already feel that way, like I'm very fortunate that my artwork is in very visible areas, so there's not many people in Taranaki who don't know the artworks outside the library, for example.
Yeah.
And that's neat because when people connect that to connect me to that or those artworks to their own, the way they interpret it. It's not very often it's negative,
That's right.
And so that's a really nice thing to know is that, I'm helping people in little ways, lots of little ways, and I feel like I'm making the positive use of my talents.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's really cool and really empowering too, more than anything because, at the end of the day, there's a lot of people out there doing shit that they don't like doing.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is a darn shame.
It is. And I admire, people who have the ability to do that because, sometimes those decisions are made for sacrifice of what's best for your family. It's like, hey, I could go do these other entrepreneurial things or these other things, but my family will probably miss out. So, there's always that sacrifice that sometimes we look at people and think, oh, you've got a good job doing that thing, but actually you've kind of dead inside,
Yeah.
And I admire that you're able to block that out because it's hard, isn't it? It's
it
like.
Yeah.
We've talked about a few things where you don't like doing certain things and you love other things.
That's right.
There's that selfish part of us that goes, oh, well, I'll just do that, whatever, and I don't really care about anyone else. But there's always tends to be, hopefully, someone else in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. I mean, we as humans, we're born to breed.
Yeah.
We're here because of breeding. When we're designed, in all due respect, we are designed to live, in a community as a couple, whatever that is. That's just by design, really, isn't it? If you will.
Someone to tend to the chores and to look after the young kids while you're doing the chores and all those things about,
to complement each other, or whatever it might be, or whatever you need to fill your cup. Your partner, can pick up on that and hopefully pick up on that and fill that gap that you didn't know you had, or that valley, or whatever it might be.
It's like, hey, I'd rather you go to golf because I know that you'll come home happier. If you stayed into this particular thing, you'd probably be pissed off with the world and angry, And, you know, even though I'd quite like that done, it's always that whole, you realising that someone realising it in you as well, you know?
Yeah.
I just need to shut up right now because I'm not going to add any value. Hey,
No, you're right.
I'm
but
just poking the bear, rage baiting, as the kids say.
Yeah, that's it. But it's so true, though. And those words you just said before, I'd rather you go and play golf and come back happy, has been said before.
Yeah.
To me.
Totally.
On a few occasions.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And she's okay with that. She's like, that's what you love doing. Go and do it. And you should. You should always do what you love, you know.
I was sent some questions for an interview that I'm doing, and one of the things is, you know, what is something that's often missed by people when it comes to mental well-being. And the first thing I thought of is that they forget that the most important person to look after is themselves.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not in a good place, if you're not feeling well, whatever that looks like for you, well, you're not going to be much use to anyone else.
That's exactly right.
You can fake it for a while, but, you know, it's that unhappiness or whatever it's inside you, it's manifesting and coming out somewhere.
Absolutely. And it really does, you know. And in all due respect, bringing it back home, you know, when the oldest one comes home from school or whatever and she's in a grumpy mood, it's like, what happened at school today? Nothing. Oh, okay. Something happened at school. All right. Did you want to talk about it? No, nothing happened. I'm telling you. Okay. I won't press any more. If you want to talk about it later on, you come talk to me. It's fine. You know, later comes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, yep. She's a very different person when she's able to get her shit out, if you will.
I think we all are, aren't we?
Yeah.
I always think it's like, if you're holding on to something, it's not a helpful thought, or, you know, it's something that is not nice that happened to you. It's not doing you any good in there, is it?
No, not at all.
You know, if you by mistake ate something that was poisonous, you go straight to the hospital and get it taken out of you.
Exactly.
To do you damage, but because it's not a physical, you know, thing,
Yeah.
it's still doing you damage. That thinking or that thing that's happened to you.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting how we don't tend to value those conversations around our thinking as much, you know, like it would seem like common sense if someone could be really happy with who they are and really content with themselves, and, you know, that's what was prioritised first. Probably a lot of the other things would just take care of themselves, you know, because you've got high self-worth and you realise, you know, what it is that you require. But we kind of go on the other side of things, or, you know, I'll be happy when I'll be happy when and you get to the next things and you're not actually that any happier because there's something else you're
constantly chasing.
That's right. So it's like, that doesn't really make sense, you know. Surely we could have think of a better way to do it, you know. Is our particular culture, you know. I'm not saying other cultures don't do it well or don't have their challenges.
Yeah.
But I find with, you know, like my own kids, you know, just trying to work out, okay, well, what didn't I get as an adult? What did I, you know, growing as a child being parented? What didn't I get and what did I get? You know, I was trying to think, okay, well, I would have liked if I would have had a mentor at a young age. You know, that would have been huge for me, I think, in my own personal development. So I would encourage it in my kids, you know. What didn't I like, you know, it probably is like, I don't know. There's lots of things I did like about my growing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Trying to pick and choose and stuff, you know, and add those in. I guess we're always doing that, aren't we?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think I mean, myself as a parent, my partner as well, you know, we often, you know, we look at what we didn't have as kids growing up and we give it to our kids. You know, and one could go, well, you know, you're just spoiling your kids. Maybe so, but that's my choice.
Yeah, that's right.
If I want to do that, I will do that. And that's fine. You know, it's a choice. Life is just choices. And there's a book, I forget who it's by, which is really bad. I will think of it, / I'm going to check on here. And this gentleman, he'd wake up every day, coach something or other with his name, and he'd go, I've got two choices every day when I wake up. I can choose to be happy, or I can choose to be happy. So I'll choose to be happy.
Brilliant.
You know, so, actually, that's not too bad. And not let things get you down. And if they do, let them. Just control what you can do. You know?
I was writing a little bit a piece the other day, and I was, around the difference between an inconvenience and a problem. An inconvenience is, I talked about stubbing your toe.
Yes, you did.
And, a problem is having cancer. So, something like that.
That's a problem.
Yeah, that's a big problem, because it's like, hey, I'm reliant on, medical providers, and I'm, my work's affected, and I now have a strong sense of, my how finite life can be, and all those things that must rush around someone's head when they're faced with that. It's like, hey, having to deal with that, and what I'm dealing with is nothing, I've got really good at doing that, having those conversations with myself, and that's why I love hearing, the two choices.
Yeah.
I can choose to be happy, I can choose to be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
You think about it, you're like, actually, that's really good. His book was actually worth listening to too. Yes, I listened to it because, this year I have set myself a goal that I'm going to read more. Read physical books.
How's it going?
Better than I thought it would.
This is good.
Yeah, I've read one book completely. I'm not a fast reader either, and
it's not a competition.
No, it's
unless
not.
You're in a fast reading competition.
Exactly, but I'm not. So, and I have, and I'm about a third of a way through a couple of books, which seems counterproductive, but one of them is about What's Your Dream by Simon Squibb. Fantastic. If you follow him on Instagram, he's Simon Squibb.
Squibb.
Yeah,
cool name,
interesting name. A hell of a guy, entrepreneur. And he said, his whole basis is, we don't. Everything starts with a dream, and then it's just trying to get it kind of to reality. What does that look like? Because a lot of times I asked Louis the question, if money wasn't an object, what would you do? And his answer was quite noble and quite literally, I'd start an academy that helps kids instead of that drop off at the end of high school where they keep going and they can pursue whatever professional sport they wanted to do. I'm like, man, that's amazing. What's stopping you doing that now? Oh, money. Is it though? Because you've already got the idea, the seed is sown, and now he's in a roundabout way starting to do that, starting to pursue that. But that's where this book with Simon is fantastic. And he talks, admittedly I'm at, I want to say chapter 2, feels like more because there's been so much little value bombs in it.
Yeah.
But he's like, a good business has a purpose. A purpose. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. And I look at my business and I think, what is my purpose? And I'm actually struggling with that at the moment personally. So I'm sort of saying to my partner, we need to figure this out because at the moment I feel like a slave to my business. I'm constantly getting phone calls. Where's this? Where's this? I need this done at this day. Da-da-da-da-da. That's not a problem. That is a side effect of being busy. That's awesome. But it's like, what is my purpose? Why should people want to work with me?
Yeah.
And I want to figure that out because if I can't figure that out, then what am I doing?
And I think it's a really important thing to do, isn't it? Because it really, you want to connect up all those important things like, your values and where you think you can make a difference in that. Because if you're confused around that, I think it's harder to stay motivated, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's easier to stay motivated when you realise that, oh, yeah, cool, I'm actually helping heaps.
Exactly. And that's what he was saying. And motivation comes from action, I think.
I do too.
I don't think motivation is just, I'm motivated to get up and go and do this. No, I'm sorry. The action of you getting up and going to do that thing is what motivated you.
Because if you just got stuff all the time, it wouldn't really excite you anymore because it's more stuff, isn't it? But
100%.
if you got to save and you got to, make that effort to get something, it's so satisfying.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we live in a society now, I'm guilty of it. If I want something, I want it now.
Yeah.
Sorry. It doesn't always work that way. And that's where golf has probably been fantastic for me because I want to be the best golfer I can possibly be. I am today because I'm better than I was yesterday. Tomorrow, I'll be better than I am today. But am I ever going to be the greatest and the greatest? No, not unless I really want that. And I have to work for it, and that doesn't happen overnight. You've got to be patient. Golf teaches you to be patient. I think it does anyway.
Yeah, it teaches you a lot.
It does. That book, Coach George Raveling. I don't know if you've ever come across him, but What You're Made For is the book. And I tell you right now, it's awesome.
Wow.
It is truly awesome. And he worked with, I think he was inspirational in getting Michael Jordan on the books with Nike. So he's been around. He
Yeah.
passed away last year at 80, I want to say 82, I think.
Cool.
Or something like that. But yeah, Coach, or George Raveling's his name, but everyone just knows him as Coach.
I mean, thinking of in time doing one of my Warren Fitness style artworks around golf.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought there's so many golfers in the world. There's so many great one-liners that are, a golfer knows that is so relatable to their mental health or to life. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that'd be quite. There's a couple that I really want to do. One is around fishing.
Yeah.
It's called Real Life. And REEL Life, Real
Yeah.
Life. So it's just kind of those cool projects that I think would resonate well with golfers and fishermen. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And it can be something, something as small as in your, like, I haven't got it with me at the moment, but I have a little notebook that I carry with me.
Yeah.
Something the size of your card holder.
Yeah.
And that's all you need. You open your thing and you're just reminded of that, whatever that might be that you need at that moment. You've just hit a shank. Give yourself 10 seconds to swear at the ball and swear at yourself and curse yourself. But once that 10 seconds is up, think about the next shot. Focus on how the next shot's going to be better or whatever it might be.
And you can take that into life quite easily, can't you?
Of course you
It's
can.
like, hey, it's just having that pause, eh?
Yeah.
Just getting good at that.
Pauses are great. I don't do it enough, and I'm practicing
none of us
doing
do
it
it.
more.
Not enough of us do it enough, eh?
Yeah, not at all, which is unfortunate. When you were growing up, did you have a dream job?
That I wanted to do?
Yeah.
You're probably athlete, but
yeah.
it was before. It was when I was playing. It was before real professional sport. Like I think like for me as a cricketer, I would have gone all right at the T20.
Yeah.
Good, good ball striker and good, athletic. So it would have, I think, been good for me. I got offered a scholarship to the States playing basketball.
Wow.
When I was younger, didn't go. Had a girlfriend at the time.
Yep.
Just didn't have that like it would be for my kids now. Just that knowledge of, hey, well, if you go do that, it's going to open up a lot of opportunities to you.
Hell yeah.
You might regret. You don't want to be on your deathbed looking back going, I wish I'd have done that.
Yeah.
And so those conversations, so really that dream job was, about being an athlete. That sort of got me really excited. And then I didn't, after that, I didn't really know, but it was kind of just, it was always around creativity, whether it was to be on the radio or was it to create T-shirts, or there's always something, around communicating with people in a creative way. Yeah, really. So that was always there. I didn't know what that dream job looked like.
Yeah.
And now I do.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And often you talked about that patience just before, but timing is a big thing with the advent of global reach with the internet, is and the ease of doing things. Yeah, it's just changed so much for me and so many other people, creators.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it really has.
yeah. So I didn't know what that dream job was. Once that sport, I couldn't figure out how to do the sport thing, and then I kind of drifted along through. It was typical. Went to university, got a degree, because my brother got one, and the same one he kind of got, and because it was easy, ask a lazy man, and and then went into trying to figure out how to run a business, but I wasn't really that good at that. And I had lots of different businesses. I was a publican for a few years, old school pubs with the public bar and the nightclub and the restaurant and the 40 bedrooms, 40 odd bedrooms up top. It was a big operation.
Yeah.
So there's lots of different things like that. So I do feel good now that I am living, the dream that has presented itself with me. Yeah. So I've made it.
That's good.
Made it to that place.
Yeah. Not a lot of people get the chance to. And, like you said before, and I've heard this before as well from Gary Vaynerchuk, he said the same thing. He said, man, you don't want to be 90 on your deathbed going, man, I wish I had that.
Yeah.
Or I wish I'd done this, or I wish I'd done that. He's like, you can be 80 years old and start a business and become a millionaire. You are never too old to do anything.
Nah.
And I think I always get a little bit miffed when people say, oh, I'm past my prime. No, you're not. You're never past your prime. Sure, you might not be able to swing a golf club 200 mile an hour, but who cares?
Yeah.
Your
prime is changing all the time.
Absolutely. You're just in a different phase of your life.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that way all the time. I feel, man, I'm in my prime. I'm still building up to, I've got so much to give.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's powerful.
It is.
I think it's really powerful.
I think, unfortunately, there's a balance on the internet. There's people saying, I should do this and do that, and then there's that, well, actually, I can do it another way as well. I don't have to stop everything now and follow that dream. I can still get to my dream another way.
Yeah.
So I think there's lots of ways to attack it. You've just got to do what's comfortable for you, isn't it?
Absolutely. Definitely. And that's the thing, like with this here, we could, the goal is to take this as far as we can possibly take it, go as long as we can. But the reality is we're all just doing it because we enjoy it.
Yeah.
I love the game of golf, and the golf has introduced me to some incredible people that I've, been fortunate enough to sit down with and have long conversations with. And, that wouldn't have happened, 2 years ago without golf, in all fairness. And, there's so many little things about golf that I'm like, oh, that's quite interesting. But I'm still on the pursuit of figuring out what it is that grabs you and keeps you and hooks you. I don't know what it is with golf, but it does. Something about it, whether it's the pursuit of perfection, which in all due respect, you ask even any professional golfer who's been playing for a long time, there is no such thing as perfect. If anything, Paul Rangiwahia down there will tell you that golf is a game of imperfection. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
It's fair. There's no perfect shot.
No.
There's only what you just hit.
Yeah. And it's just figuring out, is that, okay, well, that's not a perfect place for the ball to be lying.
Yeah.
But how do I use my skill set I currently have and my creativity to do the best I can in that moment?
Absolutely. And that happens a lot. You want to hit it dead down the middle and not be under that tree. Fantastic. The last thing you said was under that tree. So where's that ball going?
Under that tree.
Correct.
Yeah.
What happens when you get there? That's the next thing. I had a dog crap of a shot yesterday. I had to stay low under a tree. I had a bunker in my way, and then I had to get to the green. Let me tell you, perfection doesn't necessarily look pretty all the time, but I was like, if I can get to the green and stop it and keep the ball low, great. Really hard thing to do. Somehow or another, I managed to not get it in the bunker, but get it in the bunker and use the bunker's lip to slow the ball down.
And get it onto the green.
And get on the green and stay there. And I thought, you know what, that's a win.
Hell yeah.
It did not look pretty and it didn't come out how I thought it was going to, but the result was better than what I thought. But hey,
And could you do that shot again?
Absolutely not.
I know, it's great, isn't it? And, it's, when I haven't played much golf, I'm going to tell the story because it's probably the only decent shot I did.
Yeah.
But I was out at Waitara and it was a par 4 and hit the ball. I was with my son and it was a hole in one.
Oh, fantastic. You had a hole in one?
Yeah. So
how good.
So that was really good.
On a par 4?
Yeah.
How good.
Hit it sweetly.
Yeah.
And then they went over to the next hole and hit that same ball out of bounds.
Yeah. You had to keep that ball.
Yeah, of course. But those things aren't important to me. But it just reinforced that, you can have a perfect moment, but hey, you're only as good or as relevant as that next moment.
It's true. Do you know what? It's so funny. So I witnessed Alex hit a hole in one. Now, he'd been having a rough-ish sort of day playing. We weren't playing our best. And he was standing over his ball and he hits the ball and he's like, I can't remember what he said exactly, but he goes, that's going to go in the hole just to piss me off, isn't it? And it did. It was his first hole in one and it did. It dropped in the hole and he was like,
That's
And
cool.
he was numb as anything. He didn't know what to do. He just, And we're on a golf cart, so I'm driving the golf cart. He's just walking. I'm like, do you want to say anything? He's like, nah. And then he's standing over the next ball after we got over that and sort of started to wind down. He goes, this is the hardest shot I've ever hit now. The shot right after a hole-in-one, you know.
It is, isn't it? But I love that moment. It just taught me so much, you know, is that enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
You know, but the next moment is going to be different. So how do you respond to
Yeah.
that? I laughed, you know, of course.
Yeah.
It was the irony of it.
Yeah. The thing that gets me is that, you know, it's usually the one shot that keeps you there. And that if that was the last shot of the day, I would say you'd be a different man now. You'd probably be playing all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's so true, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny how that works, isn't it? You get that beautiful last, hit into the green and go, wow, that felt good.
Yeah. Oh, I can do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I can do it. Ooh. I've gone out and had some dog crap rounds and gone, oh, well.
I think the biggest challenge is, you know, in reality, you don't have to concentrate much, do you, over the course of a golf match?
Not really.
You know, if you break it down into, I'm now standing, or I'm assessing that shot, standing by the ball, or hitting the ball. The actual, if you add it up in time, it's not a great deal, and you think it'd be very easy to do.
Yeah.
But it's not easy to do.
No, it's not. I think it's the time in between. That's the issue. Because that's when you're alone with your thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, or you can be, or you're chatting with your mates.
Yeah.
Or you're worried about where the ball's landed or anything like that. Alex is a fantastic, he's fantastic at just shutting off. He's like, I just have one thought when I'm standing over the ball, and it's, I'm going to cut it off that tree. Okay? And then does. You know, and if it goes wrong, he's like, oh, that sucks. And then moves on.
But he had a clear plan for that moment.
Yeah.
And that he executed it really well or didn't.
Yeah.
And then he goes and has a clear plan for the next one and tries to.
That's it. Baldy, Louis' dad, actually downstairs, he has a magnificent process, shall we say. As soon as the glove goes on the hand, all you're thinking about is that golf shot. And that's it. And as soon as you hit that golf shot, you've seen the ball land, you're like, okay, cool, glove comes off. Then you can out of that process and relax, have a giggle, watch your mates, talk, whatever. As soon as that glove's on, serious, only thinking about that one thing. And it actually makes sense.
Well, it does, doesn't it? Because it you know, you're really just trying to switch on, aren't you? And so those actual symbolic gestures.
Yeah.
I remember I was talking to a guy, he at the end of the day, he always washed his hands. He worked at a factory. He made a point of going and washing his hands. And I said, well, why is it so important to you? He goes, because I just wanted to wash away the day, you know, and leave behind any stuff that wasn't, you know, I want to take with me.
Yeah.
It was just me switching into, that's gone, you know.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It is cool, actually. I worked at a chemical factory, and basically the law was you shower before you leave work, you know, and for that very reason, essentially, is wash the day off. Obviously, there's more chemicals involved in this, but sometimes it can just be a trigger point or an action that you need to do to symbolise, you know, that moment that it needs to be. And I think that's a powerful thing.
Yeah, because people often will say, hey, I'm too busy to you know, make some changes or do these things. But the reality is that, people are busy these days. There's a lot of stuff you can do. But amongst all that busyness is I say there's little micro moments that you can have 3 deep breaths, or you can, you know, say a couple of nice things about yourself, or celebrate some success that's gone well today, or whatever it is. You know, we've all got those abilities to grab those moments.
Absolutely.
And it's just repetition, really. It's just, you know, just practicing, finding those things that work for you, you know, like the glove, just real good, practical, common sense stuff, eh?
Yep, absolutely. What's a trigger point that symbolises that moment that you know, it's like when you cross the path into your house, cross the threshold, whether it be the door or the gate.
Yeah.
Leave everything outside of home there, you know, or when a lot of
I call it the emotional ice bath. You know, you imagine if to cross the threshold into your house, you had to go via an ice bath for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, you would get out of that ice bath, I imagine feeling a lot more relaxed.
Oh, yeah.
You know, or calmer, because you'd have to be breathing through that.
You have to, yeah.
You know, like to bring yourself, and yeah, if you could do that, life would be infinitely better for many households, because
I think so.
Unfortunately, stuff sneaks in, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I was working with this guy. He's a real arsehole, this guy. He's a manager of this company, and to his own admission, he would say that about himself at that point in time. And I was like, oh man, this dude's got so much stuff to fix. And I was like, I don't want to fix it all, and didn't want to fix it all either. Not from I didn't care about him. I care about anyone. I want no one to be that way. But I was like, man, this is quite hard work. So I said, all we're going to focus on is that before you go home, you know, like, did other stuff with him, but trying to break things down. So all I want you to do before you get home, if you're driving home and you're feeling wound up still, you're not allowed to go home.
Yeah.
But you have to pull over onto the side of the road, and you have to, you know, we focused on breathing. You got to like do some deep breathing, and try to get rid of the stuff that that you're about to take home and set everyone on fire with.
Yeah.
And so that's all we did. And I don't care if it takes 20 minutes, half an hour, he's not allowed to go home, you know, in that state of mind.
Yeah.
And for him, it changed everything.
Yeah.
It was just one thing. Because he realised that when I took that home, not only was I was putting people on fire at work, then I was putting my family on fire at home.
Yeah.
No one deserved that. No one, either way.
Yeah.
And so he said, well, I'd stopped doing that. Then I went to work less fired up.
Yeah.
So, and it just, so it's, it was cool. So, you know, I think sometimes just that intentional, that simple action can make a massive shift.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's as you say, it can just be that small thing, one small change. Talking of small changes, I feel we're getting near the end. Going for a good couple of hours. I think we could keep going for a long time, actually. But in the sense of keeping up with our little traditions that we have, of our small things, we have a couple that we do. So I like to keep things interesting. I like to make it a little bit of a challenge on me too. So we have a couple of cool traditions. One tradition we don't actually do very often, which is the spoon of the day. We normally... I don't know where it came from. Well, I know where the spoon came from. It came from here, but I can't remember
how the spoon arrived into the...
Yeah, how it arrived into this. But the spoon of the day is the person who's done something wrong. Louis is never here, so he always gets it, which is why it just sits in his little plastic pot plant that he bought. And he got it last week too when he was here. He deserved it. But it actually evolved in one of the second or third episodes. We had a question that the previous guest had left for the next guest.
Nice.
But where it got interesting is instead of me directly saying, so we had Tiger Woods on last week and he left this question for you, would you like to answer it? We don't do that. We just slip it in. I slip it into conversation.
Nice.
And I've had some bangers, some real challenging ones too. Louis left a question and you practically actually answered it without even me asking it throughout our conversation, which is fine. And essentially what his question was that he left was, it was, if you're not doing your dream job now, what is your dream and what would you do? I mean, you're doing it, you know, so that was actually not too bad.
Cool.
Which, you know, one of the challenging questions I had though was, which I'm quite proud to say this one was, what would you want read at your eulogy? How do you ask a 21-year-old that?
Yeah.
I executed it perfectly, by the way.
I haven't really given it a great deal of thought, but with time to consider it, I would definitely, want to be known that if you spent time with me, you would leave that moment feeling better than when you arrived.
Yeah.
I'd hope that I'd have that effect on people, that if you came into contact with me, you know, I would enhance that moment, or I certainly wouldn't,
Yeah.
detract from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just really nothing more than that, because I think there's all the things that I'm creating are going to be, around for forever.
Absolutely.
So there's going to be lots of my stuff. So I've already got that. So yeah, it's just that I made a difference. You know, that's really as simple as possible, because people know what that difference is.
Yeah.
Because you touch people in a certain way, or you influence people. People know that, or they know that the mark that you've left. So really, I think it's just pretty cool that someone talks about you making a difference.
I think so. And in all due respect, I feel a lot better now than...
You kind of had to say that after I
I didn't.
No.
I absolutely didn't, but I chose to, because it is appropriate.
Yeah.
I definitely think coming into this, I definitely am a lot, I feel like we've gained.
Absolutely.
And not detracted. But that obviously takes me to the next thing, is what is a question that you would like to leave for our next guest? We're not going to cook. While you do that, though, while you think, I will just quickly, because it's important that I pay homage or pay respects to the balls that we've lost this week.
Oh,
These are our fallen soldiers. I have lost 2 Titleist Pro V1s, number 8. If you find them, enjoy them. But anyway, we try to keep it a little bit funny where we can.
It's good. Humour is such an important lubricant, isn't it?
It is.
Of life.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Hey, golfers or even non-golfers, ready to take your game?
Oh dear. Oh,
What's all happening?
that was unintentional. Anyway, I'm just going to get rid of that. So now that you've gone through that bit,
a question is, I think it'd be nice to ask something around, I guess, my passion for people is what is one thing that people would love to ask but often never do?
oh, I like that.
Because it's quite open-ended. And but it's, in situations you're like, man, I'd love to ask that question.
Yeah.
But, so have you got that?
I have actually.
Okay,
I love that. I love that, because that in and of itself could be a 45-minute conversation.
That's right.
There's, you think all the times you go home at night and you're like, I should ask the missus that. And then you forget. And then you don't. That might be something trivial, but it could be something, along, that could be just anything. That is fantastic.
Good. Okay.
That is brilliant. That is a hell of a lot easier than, what do you want read at you? Eulogy. No offence, Sam Jones. I really did appreciate that. But yeah, how do I ask a 21-year-old that? And Louis, bless him, never knows what these questions are, because he never actually sees these until they...
On the day.
Sometimes until they go out.
Yeah.
And he might not even get to them. He might not even remember his own question. And it was funny. I'm sitting here. I've got Liam Harvey sitting in your seat and Louis sitting there. And we're talking about firefighters. And I was like, did you know that when you're in the fire service and you pass away, you get the full fire service treatment when you pass? And they you get the full brigade. And they're like, really? I didn't know that. I was like, no. Imagine what would be said at your eulogy. What would be said at yours? What would you want people to say at yours? And Louis sitting there going, the hell is this guy on about?
I'm too young to have those thoughts.
It's exactly what Liam said. He goes, I've never thought of that. But then he actually gave a really meaningful answer.
Yeah.
And it was along the lines of, I just want people to think I'm a good person.
Yeah, I know. That's right.
You
don't want them to think you're a dick.
No. Hey. Well, they're probably not going to be there, are they?
No.
Oh, he was a dick. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know that, there's not everyone's going to like you. That's okay.
100%. Let them.
Yeah, let them. As long as there's some people that like you, hey, you're doing all right,
Yeah.
Hey, it's...
yeah.
yeah.
We live where in a time where things are so accessible and we can be an expert on anything thanks to Google and AI and all that kind of stuff. But what we can't be experts in is making every single person like us and pursuing to get every single person to like us. The sooner you realise that not everybody's going to like you, the freer you will become and be.
Well, so true. I mean, I'm a people pleaser, so it's a curse, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, saying no is hard, and you know, the energy to lift others up is quite exhausting. So yeah, you kind of self-preservation. You have to be aware of that. Otherwise, you wear yourself a little bit thin.
Yeah, you do, and I probably find that with my business. I like to please people. I like to make sure that everyone's happy, and I do the best that I possibly can, and so forth. And sometimes it's not enough.
No.
And I can't always. And I think it was either last year or maybe even it was the beginning of this year, one of the two, I've decided, you know what, if I can't fit someone in on this day that they've requested, it's okay to say, I'm really sorry, but I'm busy that day. Or I've got no slots available. My next available slot is here. What they do with that information's up to them.
Totally.
Otherwise, but the people pleaser in me is like, okay, if I move that one there and that one there and this one here and that one there, I can fit them in there and I can make that work. And then if I race from there to there and and this is all assuming nothing goes wrong, all I've done is wound myself up and stressed myself out. And you can probably hear it in my voice even just describing it. That's not okay. So I realised, actually, that's okay to just say, sorry, bro, I can't do that on that day.
And I think it really holds greater value for you as a person, because you know you realise that holding that space for yourself is critical to your your own how you feel.
Absolutely.
And if you don't do that, you compromise that. You know, it's like that. Shouldn't have done that.
That's right. And then you lay awake at night going, I wish I hadn't done that.
Yeah.
You wake up the next morning anxious, going, I've got a hell day ahead of me because I could have just said no. And
something's missed out. You know, you haven't been able to be at that particular, I don't know, sporting thing that the kids are doing, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, and then that it's compounding, isn't it? So those decisions are so important, and that's why it's nice having either greater self-awareness or someone around you to give you that counterbalance. What do you reckon about? You know, I wouldn't do that. No.
Yeah. And that's where having a wonderful partner is so important.
Oh, that's incredible. Very lucky.
Yeah. And talking about lucky, Paul, it's been an absolute pleasure and an honour to have you on. Before we end, which is essentially now, is there anything that you want to say that you can add to someone listening who's got this far in the podcast? Thank you, by the way, if you've got this far.
Yeah, I really do. It's really just, I think, getting good at reflecting on, on your day at some point. Because if you can, when I talk about reflection, I think we're guilty of looking at all the things that aren't going well. You know, we don't celebrate success very well. I think maybe that's a Western culture thing or a modern day thing. But I think if you can find time each day to reflect on what you've done well, that's what you want is front of mind. If you put those things up first, you realise, actually, I've achieved something today. I feel pretty good about where I'm at. But if you constantly think, it's never enough, it's a hard road to home. And, so that's what I would think is celebrate, one or two things a day. And I think life will glow a lot more. Yeah,
I love that. I think that's really important. And the key thing to finish on is, where can people find you and support you?
Yeah, so I have you can Google my name, Paul Rangiwahia, and or Well I Am, and so if you want me to come and speak to you or help you in some way, please get in touch or buy one of my many products. You can on my website,
which is
welliam.co.nz.
I love that.
Yeah,
brilliant. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Here is the worst elevator music you've ever heard.
Oh, good. Let's see what it is.
It's
hear what it is.
You're gonna love this.
It's a classic,
isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't even.
That's exactly what I thought it should be.
Yeah, and that's why it's stayed through every episode. And then that's just it.
And then
the mics fade out, the headphones come off.